Hello, and welcome to Thursday night's reading. I'm reading from the third book. It's called Renewal, and see that lighthouse? Does it look familiar to anybody? So this book is a story about Ruth and Trevor, and I'm introducing more people into the Walkerville family town. And so Ruth's a local. She's grown up in Watsonville. She has roots here. And Trevor is from out of town. He's an agricultural consultant that actually Fiona has hired. So I'm going to read from the beginnings of Trevor and Ruth's relationship. Her phone rang and she didn't recognize the number. It was not a local area code. Her policy was to not answer unidentified numbers. This person, should they really want to reach her, would have to leave a voicemail. What was she thinking? Not a local area code, not a number she recognized. She was excited. Was it Trevor calling her? Hurrying to retrieve the phone, she knocked over a glass of wine. She was mesmerized as the wine seeped into the crevices of her hardwood floor, staining it. She cleaned up the mess, or at least tried to as much as she could. Kneeling, she looked at her efforts from several sides, left, right, upside down, and it reminded her of a miniature map of Texas. And then she remembered the call she wanted to answer. Looking at the timestamp on her phone, she couldn't believe that she had lost an hour. Sighing, she listened to her voicemail. Hi, Ruth. As per our agreement, Fiona gave me your number. It's a little after 7, and I was wondering if you wanted to get a bite to eat. Or maybe some other time if you can't make it tonight. I know it's a last-minute invitation. Sorry, call me if you want. Thanks. Oh, and this is Trevor Collins. We met today at Fiona's. Smiling out loud, she said, sweet. Now it was almost 8:30. Shrugging, she redialed his number, programming it into her phone. She knew in her heart that he was important. Hello? Trevor sounded garbled. His dinner was a peanut butter and jam sandwich, the best that he could do. Listening to his chewing, Ruth bet that dinner was off for the night. Hey, Trevor, sorry, I just got your message. It sounds like you're having dinner. He swallowed. Hi, Ruth. Sorry to be chewing in your ear. I just made myself a PBJ. I was starving. She giggled. Chunky or smooth? Chunky, of course. Jam or jelly? Grape jelly, naturally. She felt absurdly ecstatic. Okay, you've just won what is the best peanut butter and jelly for a PBJ award. He laughed as if picking up on her delight. Oh, wow, and what did I win? She was quiet for a second, wondering if she was being too bold. Why, you've won dinner here at my house tomorrow at 7 p.m. That's what you've won. He sounded delighted. That's perfect. What can I bring? His offer flabbergasted Ruth. Never had a guy asked if he could bring anything when she cooked dinner. He was rapidly making it to the top of her keeper list. Surprise me. I'll also make dessert. Any dietary restrictions, she asked. Okay, so I can't bring dessert. Let me think on this. I will come up with something. And he felt a challenge. Oh, no dietary restrictions. I'm looking forward to what you'll come up with. See you tomorrow, she chuckled. While she was talking with Trevor, she'd climbed the spiral staircase to the 4th floor bedroom. Her gauzy curtains swayed gently in the night breeze, and up here she could hear crickets as if they were next door. She lay on her bed, phone clutched tight against her breast. The phone call with Trevor was so natural. It was as if they had known each other for a very long time. She wondered what she'd make for dinner. Trevor finished his dinner with a glass of whole milk and considered making himself another sandwich. Looking around the Montrose Community Hall, he decided that he was full. Martha Janine had offered him the free accommodations, and there was a small bedroom in the back and a kitchen towards the front. Neither Martha Janine nor Fiona could remember why there was a bedroom in the hall. Martha Janine supposed it might have been for the caretaker at some time. A sliding glass door from the bedroom led to a small yard at the rear of the hall. He was given full use of the kitchen, though he didn't cook much. His specialty was sandwiches, PBJs, deli meats of ham or turkey, good cheeses, crusty breads, with lots of extras. Lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, thinly sliced red onions, mayo, and brown mustard. He drank a lot of milk. He preferred milk to just about any other beverage. He walked back into his bedroom thinking about the phone call with Ruth just now. How terrific was it to have such a natural first phone call with someone? He couldn't remember talking with a woman for the first time and having such fun. Usually those first calls were like an inquisition, as if he was being vetted as spouse material, which he definitely was not. So that's the end of the first section that I'm reading tonight. And the second section is about Trevor's process. He's kind of at loose ends. He doesn't really have a home. There's some history that he has that I go into in the book that I won't go into here. And Ruth, lives in Walkerville, and that's where her home is. So Trevor's been working for Fiona and Martha Janine to make some suggestions about what they can do to yield more, money from their crops. So his recommendation was that they be the first to convert to cane berries, raspberries in particular, and they were doing apples. And he heard Fiona's intake of breath when he made this suggestion. He recalled that she told him proudly when she showed him around the farm that this was the first one of her great-grandfather's orchards that he'd planted. Trevor reckoned that the Montrose women had some soul-searching to do. And now, several months later, he was finished with the work, and he was at a crossroads. What did the end of the project mean for him? When he first came to Walkerville, it was only temporary. He had no idea he'd fall in love. What would happen to the relationship with Ruth? He felt that she was his only tie to the community, and she was a new, relationship? Girlfriend? Lover? Acquaintance? Things had been so easy with her. They went from strangers to lovers in a nanosecond. The instant connection went beyond the physical. She was so determined. She was so beautiful. She was so smart. She had a plan. She had her own business. She owned her own home. He loved their day-by-day life. They talked about everything, and they could talk about nothing, each comfortable in their silences. Shying away from relationships, possibly because of his maladjusted childhood, Trevor didn't realize how lonely and solitary his life had been. Ruth completed him, and he had not known he needed to be completed. What did he want? What could he do? What did success look like for him? With a PhD in agricultural sciences, what were his options? Teaching, consulting, research? The Montroses were his fourth consulting venture. His first consultation was one he did out of love and compassion, and he was not successful. Trevor remembered that miserable rainy night in late May, his PhD just completed, when his father drunkenly called. Big Bill Collins was devastated. Despite Trevor's recommendation several years prior, Big Bill had decided against rotating and resting about 45 acres of old and tired walnut trees. He stubbornly and proudly insisted there was nothing wrong with the aging trees. When an exceptionally wet winter turned into a wet spring, irreparable damage ravaged those acres. When Trevor had heard the anguish and powerlessness in his father's voice that night, he knew what the outcome would be. His father tried to tell Trevor he loved him and found it difficult to say the words. He only managed to tell his son that he was proud of him and to forgive him for being such an old fool. Gone was the edge of anger and sarcasm that always laced his father's tone. His voice was monotone, crushed. His father's call to him had been his last act. He shot himself, leaving his wife, Trevor's mother, to find his body upon her return from a neighbor's. In a nightmarish sequence of events, his father's suicide was ruled as death by misadventure. The ranch was sold for pennies on the dollar, and he drove his mother to his grandparents' home outside of Myrtle Valley, Oregon. Since then, Trevor had kept his head down, keeping busy, saying yes to everything people asked of him. From old professors asking him to take on a class in the ag department, to PhD candidates asking him to be their thesis advisor, to consulting leads like the one that brought him to Walkerville, to Ruth. With Ruth, he was able to rest, to pay attention to his world, to enjoy the moment. Ruth was a great teacher in being in the moment. She loved being alive. She loved everything life had to offer. She got up each morning wondering what her day would be like. It never occurred to Trevor that someone who had never had a disappointment or experienced any sort of loss might find it easier to wake up each morning with that wonderment. That he compared his insides to what Ruth's world looked on the outside was an error. He didn't know that Ruth so far had been living a charmed life. Everything she wanted, she achieved. Her well-being was because of her accomplishments and her satisfaction level. What would it be like to be Ruth with this type of track record? How could he expose her to his uncertain life when hers was so planned? He couldn't uproot her in the way his mother had been uprooted by his father, taking her away from her studies and her future. That's what Ruth had, a future that didn't include a permanent relationship with him, Trevor. Okay, that's it. That's what I've read. The book is Renewal. Thank you for joining me. And if you look below all of the gobbledygook here on YouTube, you'll find some useful information about me, about the books, that kind of stuff. And it really helps if you click like. I appreciate it. And if you want to find about how to get in touch with your questions and feedback, I'd love hearing from you. So we're archiving these readings. There's a link below as well. And the link for tomorrow night's live stream, and I'll be back tomorrow at my time, Pacific time, again tomorrow night at 11, and it's going to be Friday night, and we'll be back the following Monday. So, and tomorrow night I'm going to be doing a couple more readings from the third book, Renewal. Good night. Thank you for joining us.
And clear.
I'm done.